Hi, I'm Professor Steiner, and I want to discuss a key component of the American Combato System and a very important concept for anyone who's concerned about studying self-defense for the real world. And that is something that I actually formulated in the early 70s, and something that I consider to be of paramount importance, and I try to instill it and reinstill it in my students at every class. When you are attacked, attack the attacker. Now that runs contrary to a good deal of the instruction that is generally given in most of the classical, traditional, and popular martial arts. If you look at systems such as Hapkido, Koksul Hwan, Hwarang-Do, which is really a derivative of Koksul Hwan, Aiki-Jutsu, some of the ju-jitsu systems, Kenpo Karate, you see they have many, many different self-defense techniques which are, in essence, reactive. The attacker does this, you do that. The attacker does that, you do this. And what you're doing, in essence, is playing catch-up. The attacker gets to make the first move, and you must anticipate the right action to take in response to it. This is the way most of the techniques in the classical traditional martial arts are organized and arranged as far as self-defense is concerned. The problem with that, nobody is going to be able to choose in a split second against an unanticipated, spontaneous attack by a determined assailant what technique to use to stop that precise movement the attacker is making. You can do it in class. For example, if you tell your partner, okay, now you attack me, we'll review the roundhouse punch to the head. Okay, well, you can do your fixed response to that. But in reality, defenses that are very, very situationally specific are inappropriate. Now that doesn't rule out all defenses, but I'm not talking about the self-defense aspect right now. I'm talking about the offensive aspect, which is critical. Attack the attacker. And it's a very easy concept to understand if you think about how that is the guiding light in warfare. Wars are not won by defensive actions. They are won by offensive actions. And self-defense is really war between two people. You can get killed just as easily on the streets of New York City or Los Angeles by a punk with a knife as you can be killed on the battlefield by an enemy soldier using a bayonet. You're just as dead. Attacking the attacker is based on the idea that your mental set must be such that upon realizing you are under attack, you go after your assailant. Take an example, a very common example, and this is covered in almost every martial art, wrist grabs. Now, if someone grabs your wrist, if you think about it, you're in no different a situation than if you grabbed his wrist. Both of your arms are now immobilized, his because he's controlling yours, and yours because he's controlling yours. But if you took a grip on his wrist, the situation would be the same, tactically. If you break the wrist hold, you now will likely face an attacker who comes at you with a more serious attack. But if somebody grabs your wrist and you kick him in the testicles, or jab him in the eyes with your free hand, or break his knee with a side kick, the hold on your wrist will go away, and you will have gained the upper hand. Now I have something that I always teach my students, I've written about it. When you're attacking, you are winning. When you are defending, you're losing. You want your assailant to go from a situation where he has targeted you and initiated violence to one in which he has to cope with your attacks and he has to worry about defending himself against you. He won't be able to do it. Anyone who attacks you is doing so because he believes he's going to succeed. Obviously, it's suicidal to attack somebody if you believe he's going to beat your head in. So it's a good assumption that your assailant will be confident that his technique or action will work. When he focuses on that technique, his mind is occupied by concentrating on what he's doing. And his body is occupied and concentrating on the technique. When you attack him in response to your realization of what he's doing, he not only has to stop what he's doing in order to cope with you, he's got to figure out what to do in regard to what you're doing, all of which can't be done. When you are attacked, you attack the attacker. Now there are times when you're attacked in such a way that you have to deal with the attack before you go on to take your opponent off the count. An example of this might be if somebody snaps a side headlock on you. But our counterattack for a side headlock is an attacking action that makes use of the position your assailant has put you in. Developing the offensive mindset is crucial, and I want to say something about this that's very important to understand. American Combato bases everything upon preemptive striking, offense, neutralizing the assailant, taking the upper hand, seizing the initiative, shocking the attacker. This is not an admonishment to initiate trouble. Anybody in my class, anybody under my instruction who gets into a fight is kicked out of the school. Anybody who starts trouble, I don't want to talk to him. Anybody who wants to be a tough guy, I want nothing to do with. What I'm advocating here is aggression that neutralizes the perception of another's aggression against you. When you are under attack, you have a right to defend yourself. The best way to do that is by going after the assailant aggressively, repetitively, relentlessly, and viciously. Not because you want to be vindictive, not because you want to be cruel, but because history and every documented case of physical violence has demonstrated that's the way to win. A real attack is not like a sparring match. You know what the other guy's going to do, he knows what you're going to do, and you square off, and you try to defeat each other using a prescribed body of techniques. That's a sport. I have no quarrel with the sport. I have no quarrel with people who enjoy the sport, whether it's judo or wrestling or boxing or karate or MMA, whatever you like, that's fine, that's a sport. In the street, your situation is like that of someone being targeted for an assassination. You may be walking with your family, you may be coming home from work, you may be going to work, you may be going to your vehicle, you may be coming from your vehicle, you may be on a picnic. But whatever you're doing, you're not thinking about this opponent. You're thinking about whatever you're doing. And when that attack comes, you have a split second, if you're lucky, to react. And if your reaction is aggressive, it stands the greatest chance of success. Think about this, factor it in, consider its value, and I think you'll agree, if you start to practice it and consider it and study violence, that when you are attacked, attacking the attacker is the best tactical premise to follow. Thank you.